Welcome to Quick Insights on Congressional Investigations with Michael Levy and Andrew Olmem, our 5-minute discussions of the most important issues surrounding congressional investigations. I'm Andrew Olmem, a partner at Mayor Brown and a former Republican chief counsel at the Senate Banking Committee. My partner, Michael Levy, is a white-collar defense attorney and a former AUSA. Today, we're very pleased to have with us a special guest, Jessica Donlon, who serves as the Minority General Counsel at the House Committee on Oversight and Reform. She has more than a decade of experience working in the Congress and the executive branch in senior investigative positions. As a result, she has lots to share on how congressional investigations are conducted. We're going to dedicate this and our next episode to our conversation with Jessica. So Jessica, first I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to start our conversation by asking you about your unique experience of not only conducting congressional investigations in Congress, but also representing the executive branch in congressional investigations when you served as the Deputy General Counsel for Investigations at the Office of Management and Budget. Few people have seen congressional investigations from both sides of Pennsylvania Avenue. In your view, what's the biggest difference from representing Congress versus representing the executive branch in a congressional investigation?
First, thank you, Andrew and Michael, for inviting me here today to discuss a matter that I'm actually pretty passionate about. So the clear difference between the two branches with regards to oversight is really what the role is. Congress is the actor, the executive branch is the reactor. Congress is the one conducting the oversight, looking over the shoulder of the executive branch, and the executive branch is reacting to that oversight. And like a teenager, really wanting to just, close the door, saying, please, nothing needs to be here. We know what we're doing. And that's the major difference. But I think it's also poignant to point out the common ground between the two branches, and that's that they're both protecting their equities, their constitutional equities. Congress makes the laws that they're trying to, their oversight is what informs policy making. And so it helps them understand if the executive branch is spending money and how it's spending money and how it's implementing the programs. The executive branch wants to protect the back and forth, the internal decision-making process, so that make sure it has the best advice it can get up the chain to the executive branch and protect that from too much oversight that could make it vulnerable.
So Jessica, thanks again for joining us. In this back and forth about relative equities, the battle with the teenager, if you will, as a practical matter, how does that actually play out? What tools does each side use to assert its prerogatives and its duties?
Congress has the subpoena authority. That's probably the chief most authority or power that it has, tool in the toolbox, if you will. And then conversely, executive branch has a slew of privileges. The one most commonly used and invoked is a deliberative process privilege. And so it's through, and it's not actually asserting straight off the bat those privileges or straight off the bat issuing a subpoena. It's the back and forth between the two branches, the accommodations process, and leveraging the end game to get to the point of like eliciting the documents that Congress needs without giving too much, pursuant to the executive branch. And so that is really kind of how the tango works. Now, a couple of underutilized tools that I think comes from Congress is using its appropriations power to freeze budgets, to get to shake loose information from the agencies, and also the Senate can hold the nomination to either get more information from not just the nominee, but from the agency himself, and dragging out the nomination process as well.
Jessica, what about the judicial branch, the courts, in this tug of war? In your experience, how much does the case law on congressional investigations shape how the executive branch responds to a congressional investigation and kind of the information it provides to Congress?
The courts are really, really reticent to get involved. They do not like the political fray. They don't like to be the referee. And the political branches know that. So they really do try to honestly engage in accommodation process a lot of the time. That said, when the courts do get involved, I think it's really to make sure that the equities of the respective branches are being met. And that is, Congress isn't being reckless with its subpoena authority, throwing subpoenas to everyone without actually going through an accommodations process, and making sure the executive branch is turning over information Congress and the American people need, and not just stonewalling Congress either. And so that's when they do engage, albeit very reluctantly so.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. That's why we call it Quick Insights. But we will continue our conversation with Jessica on our next episode. We hope you can join us.